Hello everyone, now I'm going to briefly talk about things that you can use around the home as a mask substitute. Now, many of you won't have the little paper respirator type masks with a valve on, and that's absolutely fine because we're not doing close contact with lots of patients, so you shouldn't really need to use things like that, but it is advisable when you go into enclosed spaces, so that's mostly our shops, and possibly when entering blocks of flats or sheltered accommodation, it's a good idea to cover your nose and mouth. And the reason is twofold, okay? There might be more of the virus in the still air generally. That's one reason. And wearing something over your nose and mouth will prevent you inhaling it if you're not in that area for too long. And the second reason is that some of us are unknown asymptomatic sufferers of this virus, and the amount of virus that you cough out, something called viral load, in fact doesn't vary if you're very, very sick or if you're completely well and have no symptoms, but you're a carrier of the virus, okay? So it's really important to stop yourself coughing and sneezing, or even when you're talking to people actually at the checkout, you'll need to talk to the cashier possibly. It's a really good thing to cover your nose and mouth. I brought a couple of items along today to demonstrate what I mean. The material should be reasonably thick, preferably 2-ply at least, 3 if you've got it, and it should cover your nose and mouth quite snugly. So I'm going to demonstrate with this sort of snuddy ski scarf thing. It is quite tight fit. So it's perfectly reasonable. This is a clean item, by the way, that I put on for the first time today. It's perfectly reasonable to go out like this. You don't have to wear it in the street as long as you're keeping really good distance from people, 2 meters or so. And but once you're at the threshold of the store or the shop you want to enter, you can just bring it up gently over your face and nose. If you cough or sneeze now, the larger droplets are going to be contained within this scarf, and if anyone inadvertently coughs over you from this side or this side, nothing's going to get in, okay? Now when you come out of the store, you need to be a little bit careful about how you remove something like this, okay? Try and get underneath it. Your aim is to try not to touch the front of it if you possibly can. I know this isn't ideal, it's not perfect, but to be walking home now, you wouldn't necessarily want that round your face all the way home. It probably isn't necessary. So you could just bring it down by tucking your hand under and pulling it down on the inside, okay? It's the outside you don't want to touch in case there's any virus on that. Then when you get home, you need to remove it, again, getting hold of the inside, easing it up. Really difficult to do. And air it outside for several hours, or wash it and then dry. Not everyone's going to have a ski snood in their wardrobe, so I've also brought along an enormous scarf, which I'm not going to cut down for the purposes of this, but this fabric's pretty good actually. It's quite close woven cotton, and if you hold it up to the light, it's hard to see through it. Things that aren't suitable are cheesecloth, bandanas that just tie at the top and are flapping, wool and linen are all too close weave, so you want something, too open weave. You want something quite close weave, and if you're not sure if it's thick enough, then just fold it down a couple of times so that you have at least 2 or 3 ply of the material that you're going to put over your nose and mouth. And you just pick this up then. Not that easy to tie. It is actually quite difficult to tie something this big, so I would suggest that you make it about half this size if you can possibly bear to. Again, removing it, untie from the back, trying not to touch the front, and drop it onto the ground in your lobby area, ready for airing or washing later. That is a huge scarf, so something about, I don't know, 6 by 8 inches might be ideal, something like that. But that's absolutely enormous, and it is quite unwieldy, I'm sorry, but that's the fabric that's pretty good to use. The very cheap tea towels, the slightly woolly ones, not the linen ones, not the glass towels, but those cheap ones you sort of get, I don't know, they're almost about £1 each, I think, and you tend to find them in markets and places. Those are actually ideal because they're quite thick fabric, they're quite easy to breathe through, and obviously, you know, it's going to be difficult. You don't want to make sure that you're suffocating when you're in the supermarket. So something that is breathable but covers your mouth and nose. And practice a bit at home. Find something that's comfortable for you. As long as there's a good, tight, snug fit around the top of the nose, to the cheekbones, and around down under the chin, that's ideal. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you found these useful.